Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think it's definitely nerve-wracking, and it's nerve-wracking to read them out loud because it is such a vulnerable thing, and it is. I mean, I have like this is my journal like right here, but I write most of my poems in the notes on my phone actually, because they just kind of come to me at random times, and I'm not going to be one of those people who carries around a notebook with me. I feel like that's a little you know, that's a little weird. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely nerve wracking, and I think I'm trying not to even think. Like, I wanted to release something that I had pure creative control over, and that's where that came from.
Yeah.
I just kind of felt a little creatively stuck where I was at, and I was like, I have, books of poems and essays and thoughts just kind of sitting around in all these notebooks that I have. So maybe I should just compile them and share them with the world. So
I use my notes on my phone for everything also.
I know.
I've written everything in my phone. If something ever happens to it, it's just not good. So everyone kind of knows you now as like, you're like an actress turned poet, but I don't know if that's actually the way that it happened. Like, how long were you writing poetry for before you decided to share? Is that something that you've been doing way before you considered acting, or like, how did you become both of these things?
I think, and it's weird to even call myself a poet. I mean, I kind of look at my poems as a little bit more of just like a free flowing sort of consciousness. It's not even really, it's not like it's rhyming. I don't know. I feel like the term poetry is so broad today, but
Yeah.
that's what makes it so beautiful. And so many people are coming out with books of just sort of like essays and commentary that they have about their own life, and that's almost what I think of this a little bit more. I mean, I do think of them as poems, but in a way it's sort of just like thoughts
Yeah.
and observations. And but yeah, I mean, I was always an actor. I was always acting, and I think I started writing a lot a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, when I started experiencing love for the first time, and being in love, and all the feelings that come along with that, and also just feelings of anxiety and kind of dealing with fame for the first time. It was easy to just sort of put those feelings and thoughts into a notebook or something as a way of therapy. So it sort of became very therapeutic for me to write down these thoughts that I was having.
Yeah. You're an advocate for mental health awareness and body positivity. Are those subjects that you write about in your poetry? And can we read about those ideas surrounding those subjects in swimming lessons?
I write a lot about swimming lessons is a lot about love, and it's about grief, and it is about anxiety and depression as well, and not too much. I feel like hopefully if this book goes well, and people enjoy it, I would hopefully come out with another one someday. And I think that one would be a little bit more body focused, or have a lot more body conscious thoughts. And this one mainly is a little bit about kind of dealing with fame for the first time, and feeling a little lost in a huge crowd of people, basically. And it's sort of a little bit leans on more of the anxiety and depression rather than the body image. But yeah, but that's definitely something that I do write about. It's something that's so relevant, and I think about and talk about all the time.
Yeah. In this time of COVID-19, it's a good time to get creative. We're not alone with our ideas and our thoughts and our feelings that often. I found myself being a lot more creative. I'm pretty external a lot of the time. So I was like digging. And the other day, I just like totally cried on FaceTime with my mom for no reason for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then I kept saying I'm crying for no reason, and she's like, "Well, you wouldn't be crying for no reason. Let's figure out what's going on." And,
Yeah.
it was really cool because it actually turned out to be like a really good bonding experience for me and my little sister, who's kind of, my sister's 19, or she just turned 20, and so she goes through a lot of the body positivity stuff.
Yeah.
More negativity because we're on in public so much that everyone, you and I have actually talked about this on DM. It's kind of how we started like talking to each other about the illusions that are created by platforms like Instagram, where people are posting unrealistic photos of themselves and
Right.
creates a distorted version of reality of like what we really look like. And
Right.
I'm like, why do I have pores and no one has pores? And like, why does my hair go farther back on one side or the other? And it's like, okay,
Right.
we actually are around humans in real life.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have these things that make me feel insecure. But when you're just so focused on Instagram, you can get really lost and confused. So the other day I basically got lost in the illusion and couldn't see myself for what
I mean, it's very easy to. I think kind of the idea of Instagram is to project your best self, and a lot
live
of
your best life. That's like a literal hashtag.
sure. And I think like I have always kind of approached social media to be in the way of I don't want to show a perfect version of myself because I could never live up to that expectation.
Agreed.
Like if anyone meets me in person, they're not going to see what you would see on Instagram if I was trying to portray myself as like this perfectly put together human being, because that's just not who I am. And I think it's such a hard standard to set for yourself. I would never want to set that standard for myself. Like I genuinely just think Instagram should be a way to, I don't know, express your creativity, and you can show the highlights of your life, like beautiful things that are happening in your life. But when it comes to altering your body, I think you're just hurting yourself more than anyone else. And you're also hurting the people that are looking at your Instagram and thinking that that is a body that they can have when you're altering it yourself. You know,
Right.
it's already skinny women are shrinking their waists even more. And that to me is so frustrating because there's already so many people with body, you know, body issues, and the way that they see themselves is so people look at themselves poorly. And so if you see an already skinny person making their waist even smaller, it's like you are just, it's very frustrating.
I've definitely struggled with the body dysmorphia my entire life. Like since I was, I mean, way before like Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, that was already hard enough.
Right.
You know, and way before even doing a TV show. Like I think sometimes we use like, well, I'm on a platform, and you know, so it's harder for me because so many eyes. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't even in this quarantine, even alone. Like I'm the biggest judge of myself. I don't need anyone else to bully me. I bully myself enough.
Right.
Like my mirror and I already have this like, you know, totally confrontational relationship. Like I don't need anyone else to bully me. I'm totally fine to do that on my own. I do that enough.
Sure.
And, you know, so it has nothing to do with being on a TV show or having more eyes, because middle school was just as hard for me, you know, or even younger than that, just feeling different. And I just think it's really cool that you talk about that, because, you know, Instagram shouldn't be a place to project an illusion, but to connect for real and go, you know, these are my hardships, these are my worst days, and connect on those worst days instead of just connecting on the best days as well, you know.
For sure.
So obviously, you know, this time is like a very creative time, and I think, you know, usually we are so busy in the lifestyle that we have that there's not a lot of time just to be, you know, going inward. And so have you been doing that? Have you been writing a lot? You said you would want to put out another book. Do you feel like you're like writing things for the next one? Like what's happening?
For sure. And I don't really, you know, and I think it's dangerous to sort of start writing poems just for, you know, for a future book. Like a lot of the things that I would write, I would have to sort of like tone down a little bit because they'd probably be a little too personal. But like they need to go through a filter a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I've been writing just journaling as well as poetry. But I think I've also been painting a lot. Like I'm not a painter. I'm not good at it, but it's such just like therapy to like sit in front of like an open window, put music on and paint. I just think it's so therapeutic and lovely. And I honestly haven't even been watching that much TV. I've sort of been taking my dog on walks, and obviously staying 6 feet away from anyone I come in contact with. But you know, you can still go outside and get fresh air. I think it's so important. Don't hole yourself up in some stuffy apartment. I think just sort of like getting outside when I can, and figuring out how to meditate, which is something that I have no idea how to do, but I'm trying.
I know. Why does every thought that could ever be thought happen at the 10 minutes where you need them to.
Right. I know.
Like, I'm like, I haven't thought about this, like, these random moments in my life. It just, you know, it's like being a little kid in school again. Like, all of a sudden, everything sounds more fun than what you're doing at that exact moment. But, you know, speaking of you needing a filter, if you ever find a good filter, please pass their number to me, because I fucking need a filter. Yeah. Really bad. Like, all of the time, I'm like listening to my song, and I'm like, why did I need to talk about this one? Like, I just get way too personal also. Obviously. But before we go, I want to know, could we get like a little sneak peek of some poetry and like maybe a little reading of some of your favorites?
Yes, I will read maybe one or two. Let's see. We'll do this one. It's a little love poem.
Okay. I need to soften up. I'm so hard. I get like